Maybe we can start, and it will be some kind of chaotic but alive, as our life too. You know, it's like always something happens. So before the start of my press conference, I would like to have some questions to you. And first of all, please tell me who is the agent of FSB and KGB, because in the decision of the VSD, it was something like some people in some conferences can be agent of FSB and KGB, and I can talk with them. And of course, in this case, I would like to be sure that no one is working for KGB, but I'm quite sure that not. So second, or maybe even we will skip now, but return to the question later. So who I am? My name is Olga Karach. I'm the head of Human Rights Center, Our House. We registered in Lithuania since 2014. I am a member of Belarusian Association of Journalists since 1999, so quite a long time ago. I have a higher education. I am teacher of Belarusian and Russian language by my diploma, and I finished my university with gold medal. It means that I have only excellent marks in my documentation, and I have several human rights awards. For example, at 2007, I was mentioned as a person or human rights defender of the year by the Belarusian group of the Amnesty International. At 2010, I received the international awards for civil courage in Red Bull, Germany. In 2012, I received the Master of Political Science in European Humanitarian University in Vильнюs, and 2019 I received the Bremen International Peace Prize. At 2010 I received the International 2022, I received Weimar Republic Award. It's also Germany. And in 2023, I am nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for 2024. Since September 2023, I will be a Minister of Peace, one of the oldest feminist organizations. Protest actions near European Commission, where we are asking to have more economical sanctions for the Kremlin for the attacks against Ukraine and Belarus. And also my organization, Our House in Lithuania, we are working as humanitarian, charitable human rights organization. I eat many free food for Belarusian refugees. If you speak about humanitarian, and also we organize a lot of human rights OC structures. We work with very intensively in international level to have more international attention to the human rights in Belarus. And now speak about humanitarian, and also we organize a lot of human rights OC structures. We work with very intensively in international level to have more international attention to the human rights in Belarus. And we will speak about it next slide. How the Belarusian regime and KGB see me. As I told you, I was twice a terrorist in my life and 9 times an extremist. First time terrorist I was in 2011 when we organized a seminar on local budget transparency, and this is maybe a very quite sad story. And in 2021, Alexander Lukashenko accused Angela Merkel, and after me, Angela Merkel, this is a former Chancellor of Germany, that we are responsible the explosion of a Russian military radar station in Belarus, in the city of Vileika. And to see more in details, it was a 43rd communication node of the Russian Navy called Vileika, connected the Russian General Staff with nuclear submarines on combat duty in the waters of the Atlantic, Indian, and northern part of the Pacific Oceans. Since the moment I am under the risk of death penalty, because in Belarus for terrorism this is the death penalty. You can find my name in the website of the KGB under the number 773. Also, we are recognized as extremists, and the website of our house was recognized as extremist website for the critics and negative materials about the chief of Russia and leadership of Russia, and critical materials about union of Russia and Belarus. From internet, and also the main propagandist of Alexander Lukashenko, Grigory Azrionak, maybe do you know such kind of guy? He posted my photo in the social networks with, you can see the photo with the sign that I am devil. Also, other propagandist of Alexander Lukashenko, Igor Tur, he presented a whole series of 147 propaganda broadcasts titled "The Lies of Fugitives." It's like running away slaves. What? I have some company. Because Lukashenko called us opposition, democratical opposition, like his own slaves, running away slaves. This is some kind of nickname, and it's very useful. And it's very often when the Belarusian propaganda speak about Belarusian opposition, they speak about us like slaves of Lukashenko. And Igor Tur also presented the whole, dedicated his book with the same title, The Lies of Running Away Slaves. And many pages in the book is written about my activities here, especially with the help of refugees and etc. etc. So you see, this is the caricature, me. This is also me. If somebody doesn't recognize, this is some. I love to collect caricatures from the Belarusian propaganda. This is a caricature from the biggest newspaper of Lukashenko, Belarus Today. How the Russian regime and FSB see me? Russian propagandist Olga Kiev referred to me as a blonde beast and compared me to Irma Grizia. This is very famous SS guard of the Auschwitz death camp. So it was a lot of also programs, broadcast about how I am Nazi. Of course, it's not true. But if you speak about Belarus, what happens today? Sorry to show such kind of photos. It's not Ukraine. This is Belarus. How Belarusians look after the arrest and after being in the police custody, mostly after meeting with such called police officers Gubopik. Please remember the name Gubopik Gubop. This is Belarusian Wagner, but as police branch of Alexander Lukashenko, and this is the victims with whom we are working. And if you see like this, or this, or this, if you see like this, it means that the man was raped by police. by police stick. So this is very характерные симптомы, very clear signal because many men after the protests were raped in the police custody. It was a lot of torture, a lot of unbelievable. This is a person with disability now. We have under the torture and who were detained and arrested. I show you the pictures just to understand what is happens. Now I have to speak about the Lithuanian Department of the National Security, VSD. By my opinion, the guys, they destroyed and they, как это сказать правильно на английском, они завалили все, что только можно. Я даже не знаю, как это перевести. Как? Failed, yes, sorry, thank you very much. They failed everything what is possible. For example, please see the woman. This is Alena Krasovskaya-Kaspirovich. She was a medical sister in the north in the colony, and she is very famous in Belarus in her involvement in tortures and prisons. So she told herself such kind of stories, and I can tell you one. For example, the police beaten the man in prison after the surgery, and как это сказать, у него разошлись швы, и она зашивала просто без наркоза, и они заново били этого человека.
She was stitching his injuries, and they were hitting him
And you could imagine this is very unbelievable painful. She openly mocked Kuropati. Kuropati, this is very famous place of mass execution of Belarusians by NKVD KGB in the 30s. She participated, now Belarusian regime opened the restaurant in Kuropati. Ispirovich, she was involved in such kind of restaurant activities. You know, this is some kind of like sing songs and dancing, etc., etc. Могу попросить перевести, вот, потому что я не переведу этот эпизод про Красовскую. She is one of the main Lukashenko newspaper, Советская Беларусь, Беларусь сегодня. И хочу рассказать одну историю, я просто попрошу, если можно, перевести ее. Она, she linked to some kind of attempts against several Belarusian opposition figures, trade unionist or candidate for president elections 2010. Она помогала, она работает под крышей Губопика. Она, например, помогала легализовать человека с фальшивым паспортом, который впоследствии попытался убить одного из кандидатов в президенты в Беларуси, отравить кандидата в президенты в Беларуси в 2010 году. И также она готовила убийство здесь, уже на территории, это все на территории Евросоюза. Она также готовила убийство второго лидера профсоюзов Анатолия Шумченко. Это тоже не секрет. The regime of Belarus, and she helped to legalize the man with no Belarusian passport in Belarus, who in 2010 tried to kill a candidate to president position. And и еще профсоюзник Анатолия Шумченко, это лидер профсоюза предпринимателей.
There is a head of Belarusian working union, Shumchenko, and she also was helping a Belarusian regime to kill him.
She was witness in the court against Vesna, Human Rights Center, and also she is responsible for some kind of arrest of very famous Belarusian human rights defenders. She is the chief of the Lithuanian organization 7 years, and she received, as I think, or I have information that she received about 500,000 euro through the Lithuanian bank accounts. The information is open. You can find and check in Google, but the person is not still not recognized as a threat to Lithuanian national security. You can see the photo below. This is a photo of meeting of some very famous Belarusian propagandist who is openly work for Belarusian propaganda, and they're friends, of course, and they're working together, but she's open to travel from Belarus to Lithuania and back. And no reaction from the national, from the VSD, from the Department of National Security of Lithuania. Okay, next slide. Artur Gaiko. Maybe this is the biggest fail of the Department of the National Security of Lithuania. The guy is current employee of Gubopik. I told you, and I show the pictures as a result of Gubopik activities. And he was ahead of the Black Book of Belarus. Black Book of Belarus is a main, very famous project of Belarusian opposition, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, and this is some kind of database to collect repressions, to collect the information about the violators, about the people who organize repressions, who organize torture, who organize pressure for the democratical movement. And you should imagine the guy, he was the head of the Black Book of Belarus. What it means in practice. Many people, especially among enforcers who doesn't support Belarusian regime, they connect to Black Book of Belarus. They send the information there. And at the same time, they send their contacts, their personal information. And all of them were arrested by Gubopik because the Gubopik was managing of the Black Book of Belarus. And the situation was distributed, was development during 2 years. 2 years, nobody reacted, and we have huge of people who is arrested now, especially from policemen, military service, from local administrations who just try to help Belarusian opposition to recognize the violators, but everyone was arrested. The Department of National Security, VSD, knew about the situation, but didn't do anything about. Still, Artur Gaiko is continued to work in Gubopik, in Vitebsk, and still he is not recognized as a threat of Lithuanian national security. Actually, by the way, Artur Gaiko was involved to arrest of Roman Protasevich in May when Lukashenko kidnapped the flight. So this is unbelievable how the guy who is working in Gubopik can work in Black Book of Belarus, and the VSD doesn't react at all. Alexander Azarov, other very interesting case. This is he worked in Gubopik too, and he's very famous with the rest of the Belarusian combatants who is fighting in Ukrainian side. He's very famous to repress Belarusian democratic youth organizations, and also I didn't write about, but my organization, we are working with the protection of children 328. This is the children who is imprisoned for 10 years in prison only for smoking of marijuana or small issues connected to the small non-violent issues connected to drugs. And he was very famous to work with children 328 too. It's very interesting that the guy as Artur Gayko, for 2023, he is a part of verification group for Belarusian refugees and Belarusian opposition with the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Lithuania. So again, like the guy was inside Belarusian, especially former, people from the system of Lukashenko now. Azarov is responsible for the verification of Belarusians here. So this is unbelievable because he's responsible for the Plan Peramoga, Plan Victory, and now the Plan Peramoga is a championship among the number of arrests of democratical activists, people who registered in the plan of Peramoga. They arrested, and now we speak about hundreds and hundreds of people. And again, the guy still is not recognized as a national security, threat of national security of Lithuania. Veronika Tsepkalo, opposite case. The second phase of Belarusian revolution. She arrived to Lithuania in August 2020, and it was some kind of provocation against her here. Some men enforcers, they pressure her and taken her from Lithuania and remove her driver license, and still she doesn't receive the driver license back. And she was threatened, and her children were threatened. And since the moment, the Belarusian opposition and the two women, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya and Veronika Tsepkalo, were not able to unite. I asked the Department of National Security for the case. What was happens with Veronika Tsepkalo? She was forcibly taken out from Lithuania by whom? But I didn't receive any answer about the situation. Svetlana Galuza, other opposite case. The Department of National Security of Lithuania falsely she recognized her as the threat of national security of Lithuania. The young woman, very, by my opinion, very honest and very open. She's very sick for the fourth stage of cancer, and she is a journalist of our house, and it was false denunciation about her, and her accreditation to the affairs was revoked, and she was harassed for about 2 years. And now we won the court of first instance and prove that she is not threat for Lithuanian national security, but she has a lot of she had a lot of risk to be deported from Belarus and facing the possibility of imprisonment, torture, and very painful death because, as I told you, she's very sick for cancer. My case. You know, now we start to speak about my case. Very similar like case of Svetlana Galuza, but as Svetlana Galuza was recognized as a threat, it was false denunciation that she's working for KGB. As I understand now, I am false, some kind of false denunciation that I am working for Russian and Belarusian special forces, and I am open to answer for your questions, but I would like to say that I am totally disagree with any kind of arguments of the Department of National Security. As you see, we have the cases when the guys who is absolutely clear threat for Belarusian opposition and Belarusian and not only Belarusian opposition, but who is openly working for regime. It's very easy to check them via Google. They're not threats, but people who is working for democracy, who is working for human rights, they declared as the threats, or some provocations in the territory of Lithuania are organized against them. This is only a few cases. We have much more such cases, especially cases like Alena Krasovskaya-Kaspirovich, Artur Gayko, etc. But nobody react. we are here in very dangerous situation. As I told you before, in December 2021, I was in shelter for 17 days. I received a message from the Department of National Security of Lithuania that somebody would like to kill me, somebody from the Belarusian regime. And still, nobody who was trying to do it is found. Nobody. And I would like to say that, okay, how I prove that everything is false? If the Department of National Security think that I am from other side, like Gayko, Kaspirovskaya, Krasovskaya, Kaspirovich, and others, please deport me to Belarus. Deport me to Belarus and to see what happens. I understand that now I am the nominee for the Nobel Prize Peace. I would like to remind the case of Ales Bialiatsky, who was the same nominee for the Nobel Prize Peace. And Lithuania sent the information, very sensitive information, about him to Belarusian KGB. He was imprisoned. He was imprisoned for several years under very serious torture. I would like to say that I feel the same situation now. If I am sending any information to the Russian or Belarusian special forces, no problem. It means that I am like these guys. And it means that for me, it's not threat to be in Belarus. Please do it. Deport me to Belarus. Now, immediately. I am ready to be dead, to stop the deportation, stupid deportation of Belarusians, stupid manipulations, political manipulations with the question of the national security. And I am very, very angry. I would like to say that I am not step back. I am not stop to prove my name and my reputation, because I know that I am not Russian or Belarusian KGB agent, and I don't send any information to anybody. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable what happens in Lithuania. But now maybe I stop my emotions. Let's. Yeah, I like the picture. To smile. This is also Belarusian military service, but.
Okay, we got it. Thank you. So, Eglė Račkauskaitė, LNK Television News. You were not really nominated yet for nomination.
We are. The procedure of nomination will be started since 1st of September, but now several organizations have the decision to nominate me. So this is since 1st of September, it should be some kind of technical procedure.
So we're not nominated yet. Let's make that clear. And you were nominated. Well, the intention was announced by International Peace Bureau on August 4th. Right?
Yeah.
And on August 3rd, Yuri Shelezhenko was arrested in Ukraine, your partner, right? That's correct. So he was arrested for justification of war, and you're also you also have projects with these organizations who are
Not project, advocacy campaign.
Advocacy
Yeah.
campaign, yeah, to disarm Ukraine. You are in favor of
Yes, we as organization, we are working for the conscientious objectors, Belarusian conscientious objectors and deserters. Because by my opinion, of course, the main strategical goal of the Belarusian civil society is to stop, to block the participation of Belarusian army in the war. And by my opinion, of course, we cannot do anything with Lukashenko, but we only have pressure for the Belarusian public opinion and help Belarusian men who doesn't want to participate in the army to leave. To avoid the participation. Of course, if we speak about conscientious objectors, it means that we speak about conscientious objectors everywhere. In Russia, in Ukraine, in Turkey. Our focus is our house, to be clear. We work only for Belarusian conscientious objectors. But of course, we are in coalition of organizations who is working with conscientious objectors everywhere, like Yuri Shelezhenko too.
So can you urge international community, like right now, to arm Ukraine as soon as possible with fighter jets, F-16s right now?
Tell it again, because I don't understand. Yeah.
You claim that
No, I don't claim.
Of this
No, we claim that we, as human rights defenders, recognize the right of any man in the world to be outside the army if the person is the person thinks that he doesn't want to go to the army. For example, very dangerous.
What is your opinion on guns?
I think that we have to stop the weapons from Putin first. But if Putin has no weapons, how he can continue the war?
And he wants to stop the war right now, to go to negotiations with territories that are...
No, I don't think so, because, and never say about, I think that now our main goal to not escalate the war. For example, the participation of the Belarusian army in the war will escalate the conflict. I hope that you agree with me, because this is new army and this is new forces and this is fresh blood, etc., etc. Now all our efforts, including the international pacifist community, we focusing for block of Belarusian army don't go to Ukraine to participate on the Putin side. This is very clear for everyone. I don't believe in negotiations with Putin and Lukashenko at all, because I know the guys as Belarusian woman, but I can imagine or I can. I don't believe it, but if somebody believes, why not?
Who invited you to Moscow? Tell us the names.
I was invited to the Высшая школа экономики, как это? High School of Economics, something like that. It was a conference, European, Belarusian, Russian dialogue. At 2015, we all believed that the dialogue between Europe, the Kremlin, Russia, and Belarusian opposition and Belarusian regime was possible. As you know, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya still believed in such kind of idea until 2020. I saw him several times in inviters, and second one was his assistant Dmitry Balkov. He was working at the moment in the High School of Economics, and it was a conference organized with the support of the World Bank, European Commission, and also European embassies. So many leaders of Belarusian opposition and all Belarusian parties arrived, not only me. So we were together and we discussed if it's possible or not to solve the problem with Belarusian regime, and now it's clear that it's not.
Sorry, BNS News Agency. One detail first. Did you appeal the decision yet?
I have to do it, and so maybe my lawyer tells more.
Are you absconded?
And maybe later, maybe we'll finish with
Yes.
Olga.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, Galima,
sorry.
everybody is fine with me speaking Lithuanian or English? Yeah. So, it looks like there are people that do not speak Lithuanian in the room. So probably I should also continue, because it will be more difficult for the people who do not speak Lithuanian translate to language. Me speaking English. Rita Satkauska's managing partner, attorney at law firm Rolex, who represent Olga in her asylum case. And we do intend to appeal the decision. The decision is still not in force. There are 2 instances of court appeal to check the legality of this decision. I must say a few words, maybe, if you allow me. Olga arrived to Lithuania and worked from here for a few years already, you might all know.
10.
And 10 years,
10
almost 10
years,
years.
yeah.
Okay. And she lived here because she was given the residence permit. She did not apply for asylum, despite the threat in her country of origin. And she decided to apply for asylum a year ago because she was starting feeling insecure in Lithuania. Hence, permit international protection is given because of certain international rules regarding asylum, and the immigration department has to take a decision on asylum case in not later than in 6 months. It took 1 year for the department to issue this decision, so we already asked the court to check the legality of such delay. And it made Olga obviously restless because of the considered the possible outcome. I cannot say that Olga was surprised by the decision. I was surprised by the decision. The decision acknowledges the threat that Olga, I think it's not secret that Olga is on the list of the terrorists, and for terrorism in Belarus you have death penalty. So the secret also that her organization, along with other organizations like Vojna or Pomoga, by Sol, they are listed as an extremist organization, which means the participation, creations organization is punished for many, up to 12 years of prison. And the condition that you may all know and imagine. The immigration department recognized such a threat and refused to issue the international protection, to grant international protection. I believe the court will have a chance to check the legality of the decision. We have 1 week to submit the appeal, and the court will have to consider this appeal in a matter of 2 months. Hence, we can check the legality of such decision. The decision to issue a residence permit in Lithuania is a separate one. Of course, and this decision is based exactly on the same circumstance and been confirmed, the threat in her home country. So, interestingly enough, the two decisions based on the same issue, but had different resolution, different content. This decision contradicts the decision to deny international protection. We're planning to seek justice in Lithuania, and if failed, we'll seek justice in international mechanisms protecting human rights. Thank you.
I have a question. Mama Palma, TV3. So my question is, as you and your lawyer mentioned that Lukashenko regime detained you and declared the organization terroristic, but that was in 2011, right?
No. My organization declared as extremist organization since 2021.
Okay, but what was in 2011?
2011 I was arrested as a terrorist, but I was it was not mainstream at the moment. Now we have many terrorist leaders, but first time when I was arrested as terrorist, it was 2011. I was recognized as a terrorist now at September 2021.
But you received permission to live here in Lithuania in 2014. Despite
Yeah.
that, you were living in two countries. You were going to Belarus, then back, Belarus, then back. Can you explain why?
Because here in Lithuania, I am since 15 March 2020. So when the border was closed, and I arrived here, and I never returned back. So I am here already 3 years.
But 6 years.
But 6 years before, we were registered as organization under the project of the Lithuanian Foreign Office, and we use. Sorry to say this, but we use the Lithuanian territory as technical territory because, for example, we need to organize secret meetings. We gather it here. We have to work for the financial and narrative reports. We do it here because at the moment in Belarus we had the search of KGB. It was impossible to save any very important and sensitive documentation. Mostly I was here, but of course, if you want to protect human rights, of course, you have to meet with victims. And it's not easy to bring all victims to Lithuanians. And I try to be in Belarus and even to smell, such kind of air to understand how people live and how people, because if you work for the successful advocacy campaigns, you have to understand the environment quite well. So for me, it was very, very important to continue my human rights activities because when I arrived here, I arrived from because Belarusian regime tried to kidnap my children and made some kind of chantage. Using my children, and of course I understood that even I received a letter from the local administration in my city that if I stop any activities for me and for my children, the situation should be safe. But it means that for regime it was much more important to stop me. Of course, if I am always outside, it's really complicated to understand what is inside. It's really complicated to continue the human rights activities successfully, and we see that if people more than 1 year and don't travel to Belarus, it's true, it's very complicated to continue and to be successful inside Belarus. Unfortunately, if you speak about my organization, it's true too. Now we are not so successful in Belarus like we were, for example, when I was able to travel.
But you wasn't afraid those 6 years?
I was threatening. I was arrested, and so I was many times. And it was, for example, if I travel to Belarus, it was some kind of rules of security. For example, I never spent more than one night in one place. So even very often when I arrive to Belarus, I never go to my home, and this is some kind of hunt. You have to travel, you have to plan your trip very quickly. You just arrive, meet with people secretly, hope that you will not be arrested and return back.
And also one
Yeah.
question. You mentioned Svetlana Galuza, right? She was working in your organization. But you know this journalist, Begunev, right?
Yeah.
She is a Belarusian agent. And he was collecting information about how our defending system in Lithuania works in 2020. As I know, he's close friend to Galuza.
She's no, it's not true. It was not true because it was false denunciation in the letter.
But I know it is true. And she was
No.
also collecting
Olga, I'm
information.
sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
Galuza is involved in arrest at least 2
No,
people in
no,
Belarus. Yes.
no, no.
Sudalenko
No,
is
нет,
and
нет.
It's her
You're
fault because
representing
she
her.
gave all the screens
No.
from closed chat.
If we read, no.
Yes, because I know she was working with Begunov and Begunov's agent and everyone knows.
I would like to maybe we can organize a second press conference and invite Svetlana Galuza, and you can ask the questions to her. But the court show, and it was very clear that she is not involved to the arrest of Sudalenko and Alexandrov. No, even she didn't know Alexandria. And so now this is discussion without any, like I say no, you say yes. It could be better to organize next press conference, invite Galuza, and speak together very openly about the cases, and included the case of Ilya Begun. Everyone spoke and knew Ilya Begun because he was verified and accepted like very good guy by Freedom House, by Vitebsk Yurkonius, and he arrived here by the visa of Freedom House, and so why we mustn't trust to Yurkonius and his verification system.
Okay,
Yeah.
why do you need asylum if you have a permit to live in Lithuania, and it was like since 2014? Just what are the bonuses? Why do you need it? And the second question, here we saw a picture of Grybauskaitė and Putin. What did you want to say with that?
Yeah. So thank you very much for the good questions. First of all, we speak about political asylum. Why I need it? Now I am recognized as terrorist. And after the attack of Mantas Danielis, a Lithuanian lawyer, when he was detained, we understood quite well, not we, because Belarusian regime recruited Lithuanian citizen to go for us and to collect information about us and to send to Ksenia Lebedeva. This is other very famous Belarusian propagandist. Now, for example, Belarusian regime can appeal to Interpol about my extradition back as a terrorist. It means that if Lithuania can receive the in practice. It means that I arrive, for example, to Germany or Poland or somewhere, and police stop me and say, "Oh, you're a terrorist. We received the letter from Belarusian regime, and you are arrested for several weeks, several months. I don't know." So this is very easy to create a lot of problems, and a lot of possibilities how to block my human rights activities, my conferences, etc. And second one, maybe it's not very serious reason for you, but I am here 10 years. I want to learn Lithuanian language. I want to be integrated, but I cannot because to learn Lithuanian language for me now is quite expensive. I have to pay for it because it's no any integration programs for people who has no political asylum. If I have political asylum, I have free courses of Lithuania. Sorry to say about, but this is quite a good course, 196 hours, and I can learn Lithuanian, and we can speak without any translator. So this is a lot of possibilities to be integrated because I understand that before I had a lot of hopes to return back quickly. That the situation can be changed quickly. Now I don't believe that the war will be finished soon. Sorry to say about. I don't believe that the war will be finished this year. So it means that I have to be integrated within Lithuanian society. In this situation, of course, I want to be a part of the integration programs.
And the second question.
The second question. Actually, I would like yes. The guy quite well. He's very. He has very good connection with the special forces too. So sometimes we hacks somebody, it's like hack hands somebody, and we cannot be responsible for the people. And so this is sometimes politicians or human rights defenders or public figures, they can meet with many very strange people, but we are responsible for our activities. We are not responsible for activities of other people around us. Dalia Grybauskaitė is responsible for the Russian aggression, not.
But are you saying you did the same thing? You met people who you didn't know were the Russian intelligence officers? It
is possible, and so like agent of KGB too. We are here, you know, like many people in one audience. Every day I meet 20, 50 people. And of course I cannot guarantee that everyone is not sending information to KGB or somewhere, you know, it's impossible to say, especially in Belarus.
But maybe you know that now.
No.
Also yesterday.
Even I listen to the idea that Andrei Suzdaltsev can be, how do you say, working for secret forces, etc. But I have no information about, and I'm quite skeptical about the idea because, of course, sometimes we have very strange guys. For example, about Matas Danielis, how we understood that something is wrong with him, because he started to ask very sensitive questions which not connected to his activities as a lawyer. For example, he was trying to access the sensitive financial information of our organization. He didn't, but he always tried to get, or he always tried to get the access to the databases of victims of repressions in Belarus. And of course he didn't, but for me it was really, really alarm, you know, like lamp here, why the lawyer who is responsible for the cases here in Lithuania, why he is interested in our financial information, but, you know, like try to catch them, or he's interested in the people inside Belarus, the same. And of course, this is very, very clear sign if you speak about who is secret agent of KGB or, I don't know, any kind of other forces, when people ask sensitive information which not connected to them or not. Of course, I don't know Andrei Suzdaltsev very well. I cannot say that 100% of guarantee that he is not working for something. No, but he never asked me about any sensitive information. He never asked me to collect information about Lithuania or Belarusian opposition or, I don't know, any kind of other questions. So yes,
but how can you be colleague with a person who is criticizing Belarus for not being tight enough with Kremlin?
Say it again, sorry.
Okay, the person
Yeah.
you're mentioning, so he's criticizing Belarus regime, right? Because they're not close enough with Kremlin. How can you be colleagues with that kind of person?
But he is not my colleague.
Well, he invited you to Moscow and invited
Yeah,
you
but you
to
know,
talk to him.
I receive every month. I receive minimum 10 invitation for many events, and of course, I cannot say that the people are my colleagues. We have no any kind of common activities. We have no any kind of common goals, and this is just conference. And of course, many people who is invited to the conference, you know. And so even today, I am invited for 2 conferences, except the press conference, and I don't want to say that this is everyone is colleague who is in the conference. No, about Suzdaltsev, I know that he lost his position in the high economical school because he criticized the regime and he criticized Putin in some kind of way.
I have a question. You said yesterday Lithuanian intelligence should not trust reports of other NGOs. Who thinks of you as a competitor? And possibly indicating that VSD's assessment was based on information provided by some.
By my opinion, I think that of course they can receive any information, but they have to check.
Do you have any proof that any NGO?
For example, if you speak about Svetlana Galuza, for example, in the denunciation it was written that she was working for Belarusian propaganda, but she has, how to say, трудовая книжка, working book, or how to, some kind of working ID, where you can see all positions where she was working. She has never worked in propaganda, and it's very easy to check.
But I'm asking about you. Do you have any information that some other NGOs
I think that they have to find the information somewhere. And by my opinion, it must be, or it can be, the denunciation from any other NGOs, because sometimes Belarusian NGOs use denunciations for the very dirty struggling each other.
Do you think Svetlana Tihановskaya?
I don't think so, because I have no information, but I think that somebody wrote denunciation to VSD, and we have to check who is this.
Can you describe your relationship with Svetlana Tikhanovskaya?
My relationship is not very good with Svetlana Tikhanovskaya. At 2020, the relationship was quite okay, but after, but the relationship was started to be very bad after the Svetlana Tikhanovskaya asked Belarusians to vote in the online platform Golos to support the idea of her negotiations with Putin, Lukashenko, and with Germany. So it was February 2021, and I was very negative about the idea. About such kind of negotiations, and I started to criticize her. She didn't like this, and our relationship was destroying since the moment. And second one moment was very important. Svetlana Tikhanovskaya spoke about Vladimir Putin as one of the possible part of the negotiations. I thought at the moment and think now that we have to make much more focus for Ukraine. And even maybe, do you know that the husband of Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, Sergei Tikhanovsky, he is in the Ukrainian database Mirotvorets for the open annexation of open support of Crimea, etc. I was struggling to remove him from the database. It's also very open case, and even I met with guys from Mirotvorets and tried to prove them to exclude Sergei Tikhanovsky from the Mirotvorets database, because otherwise it should be very complicated to build very strong partnership with Ukraine. It's true too. So I tried, but it was not very successful. But maybe if at the moment Svetlana Tikhanovskaya should support me in such kind of activities, we can remove Sergei Tikhanovsky from the database together, but she didn't support.
If you lose in court about your asylum, well, you can stay here on humanitarian grounds, and you know that. But if you lose it here, can you say you have enough dignity to leave Lithuania?
No. I will be here, and for VSD they have two options. Or I'm here, or return me to Belarus.
There
I
are
told
many
you.
other countries besides Lithuania.
Yeah, but I like Lithuania. I live here 10 years, and I don't want to leave Lithuania. So this is, I repeat, this is only one option for VSD, or here, or remove me to return me to Belarus.
I also wanted to ask, have you ever been met by officers from Lithuania's State Security Department to discuss your possible ties to Russian intelligence? Have they ever warned you?
We met with the Department of National Security many times, because I was since December 2021, and we discussed many things. But it's very clear that I have never been involved with any secret work of Russian or Belarusian.
But that wasn't the question, I'm sorry. Have you ever been warned? By Lithuania?
We spoke, but it's very, very clear that it's absurd.
But you have been
Yeah.
warned.
When? In different times in this spring, yes.
In the spring?
Yeah.
Did they tell you names?
No, I don't know
Are you
names.
sure?
Yeah, I don't know names.
Can you describe the conversation? What did they warn you about specifically?
We will keep the information for the court, because, by my opinion, as I see my lawyer, I think that yes.
I'm restless, and sorry to interject. I think that the information, the case about, I feel like in a spy novel of some sort. Here everybody is naming names, and in fact, this is an activist or a journalist is not allowed to present accusations. It's done by the prosecutor.
But we're not
So
presenting
if you have, I'm not asking you a question, I'm responding to your question. So if you have enough information, obviously the state institutions will open the case about espionage and will persecute the spy, the person who is collecting information for enemy institutions. If there is not enough certain information, there will be no judgment. If there is enough information collected, there will be trial and there will be punishment. The person will be sentenced. As you may know, it did happen. If the information about existing or planned collection of information that would be dangerous to national security was collected and presented to the institutions of other countries. So this is clear. Nobody can or will be presenting any accusations except of the government, except of the state institutions. I think this is clear enough.
Mr. Falco, can you clarify when you met with DSD's official?
Yeah, but
did they warn you about any specific people?
I think that we keep the information for the court, because I know your courts, this is quite specific and independent, and by my opinion, any information which can be declared as a pressure for the court cannot be okay. Yeah.
May I clarify 3 questions? My name is Tanya Karolinkova. I'm a Belarusian journalist who used to work for Belsat agency. My first question is for Mr. Kauskas. You said that there are 2 different procedures, receiving international protection and receiving residence permit. Do I understand correct that if DNS recognize Olga as national security threat and rejected her with international protection, it doesn't mean that they can annulate her residence permit?
No.
Well, this is what is happening. Most of the Belarusians that are declared a threat to national security are stripped of their residence permit. So, I mean, you should relate that. Second, the asylum is not conditioned on threat to national security. So if a country suspects a person to be a threat to national security, it may take necessary precautions, obviously, but it cannot surrender the person to a country where it is clear or where there is a threat of death penalty.
But the residence permit is still valid?
The residence permit is valid, and the decision was taken to issue a new one after expiration of the current one.
And Olga, can you show us the answer from Migris? What exactly they say,
Tanya.
why you can't have international protection?
The cases, this is very important for everybody, the asylum cases are confidential. So neither the government institutions nor the person concerned can expose the details of the threat or the arguments for not granting the asylum, to ensure the efficient asylum system so that people who are threatened in their country of origin are not afraid, are not prevented from asking the asylum based on the possible exposure of their persecution, which will increase the risk in their home country.
Why do you say that a person who is in this case cannot disclose any details? I mean, could you mention the law and maybe the...
The law says that asylum procedure, the law on foreigners, the legal status of foreigners.
And what does it say about, because, public institutions, yes, they cannot disclose anything that related with some specific persons, but what about those people who are quite free to talk about their situation?
They're free, but it will not be fair to speak about that, and it will not be very smart to do that,
So
exposing
you can,
yourself.
But you just won't.
You're free to speak what you want. You should not be exposing the details of the case, as in every case, every court
So
case.
Olga doesn't want to quote the decision. Do you understand correct?
No, because when we working with the court and case of Svetlana Galuza, we understood that the courts are quite very independent, and this is we cannot do anything what can be recognized as the pressure for the court. So we have to be very careful to speak about any decision because otherwise
But you told about Zhirinovsky's, for example.
Why did you tell
Yeah, and maybe it was mistake. I was too much emotional to speak about, because I was shocked. But we don't know how the Lithuanian court can recognize or can think about our comments about the decision, etc. Of course, we are going to the court. This is exactly for 100 or I don't know 1,000%. But I don't want to lose the court only via victory of public opinion. And this is, such kind of balance. I try to keep such kind of balance to show you the information as we can, but at the same time don't lose the court because court say, oh, you pressure us via media, via public opinion, and this is.
How would you react to people saying that you, naming Zeleski's interview and these conferences in Russia, that you said what was convenient for you to describe these arguments as absurd and did not speak about
because they were
things.
absurd, don't you think?
But there were other arguments.
Yeah, but even yesterday people started the flash mob. Protection for Olga, and you can use the hashtag protection for Olga, and you can see the reaction in the Facebook, and so many people reacted and think that I need protection, and of course people don't believe it. I don't receive the message from anyone who says that, oh, you are spy or something like that. No, I don't receive. Many positive comments, and many people who is calling just call and say, oh, you need help, what we can do. And even, fortunately, I don't know how to say it, lucky or unlucky, my work is blocked because I have to answer for calls, to be in different Zooms, etc., but not to explain what is happening, but much more people are asking what they can do, and people, of course, they know me. They know my work, they know me, and of course, for everyone who knows me as person, everything sounds very absurd.
You were talking about Matas Danielis. I didn't manage to ask you, but I want to ask now. As I remember, it was like that. You said that you noticed that something is wrong with him, but you were silent and you only started speaking after information popped up.
No.
It was like that.
Yeah.
You were just silent.
Okay, we were silent in public sphere, but we were not silent among our partners. When we understood that something is wrong with Matas Danielis, we thought that maybe he's strange Lithuanian guy who is like looking for the Belarusian or Ukrainian woman. And after we understood, in May, we understood that something is wrong with him and this is not connected to women. So we started to collect all information, and the information were sent to police, and we had the whole informal coalition about 13 Belarusian organizations who was affected by Matas Danielis and who was who had the same troubles as we are. And the coalition, I sent the information about Matas Danielis to police 9th of June. And the coalition was starting to collect additional information at end of June, and everyone who is in Belarusian community, they were knew about it. And in August, some strange journalists start to write articles that we didn't tell anyone about the Matas Danielis, but it's not true because everyone knew about. And in August, I understood that I need the special protection, international protection, and started to prepare the documents. 1st September, I was asking the asylum from the Lithuanian Migration Office, and Matas Danielis was arrested at the end of September. And now he's still in prison, as you know, under the suspicious of espionage, but the whole case is based of our information, not anyone else. So we collected the information. We are working very closely with investigation team including the Department of National Security, and we help as we can, because it's very clear that it was we are not the first organization who was affected by Mantas Danielis. He was trying to get the information, something like since 2018, 2019, and even he was trying to have access to Vesna, to other human rights organizations, our colleagues. So this is he was quite active. He met with everyone and tried to collect information from everyone.
Pone Sarkauskai, valstybė garantuoja Olgai Karač teisinės paslaugas, ar ji moka jums pati, apmoka jūsų paslaugas ar valstybė?
Dar nesumokėjo, bet žadėjo.
O kas žadėjo, valstybė ar...
Olga mane samdo, bet į Olga.
Privačiai.
But now I'm afraid that now 12:15, and maybe anyone last question? Yes.
Have you managed to solve the problem with your passport?
No.
And how did you have any other document, travel document? No.
This is another question that I want to ask. Travel document. If I have the political asylum, I have the right to receive the travel document, like document of refugee, but now I haven't. Yeah.
But with the residence permit in Lithuania, you can ask for travel passport.
Without the without, yeah.
Any international protection
Thank you. I didn't know about it, so I can ask. Yeah, thank you very much. So this is very useful information. Yeah. So thank you very much. I promise to meet you and inform you soon as possible about any development of my case, and also, of course, I promise to have such regular meetings and answer for all questions, and not only connected to this case but other cases in our organization. Yes, thank you for your attention.